Welcome to Mobile Rolling. It'll be my pleasure now to be talking to...
Oh, what? You're taking over again, are you?
Well, look, after the last debacle, yes, I'm in charge, Jimmy, okay?
Now.
So, look,
Jeez.
I will interview you, James.
Okay.
Okay? So you happy with that now?
Yeah, look,
Right.
James is my real name. That's how I was on the birth certificate. James, like my father, when he was alive, used to call me James. My mum calls me Jim, and my wife, Priscilla, she calls me Jimmy. So and I'm called other things as well. You call me different things
Okay,
too.
so after the break...
DH was one of them. I remember DH was one of them.
I'll be talking to James Jacques.
Jake's your bullfed.
Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. It is a great pleasure to be talking to a voice that is very, very familiar around Australia, but now we're going to find out all about what's behind the voice. Welcome, Jimmy Jacques.
Thank you, Gary. Gary Crocker, great to be with you. Yeah, there's a bit of history there. I remember when we interviewed my cousin Wayne, who was probably instrumental in getting me into the harness commentating side of things. We're six generations of harness racing, you know. So we go back to my great-great-grandfather Wal, my grandfather James. He was a James, and I was named after my grandfather. My Uncle Bob was probably the most famous in the harness racing, which is one of James's sons, along with my dad Harold and Uncle Wally. They all had a stint at driving. And then on Bob's side, he had Wayne, his son, that drove, and then Wayne's son, Matthew, drove, and then Matthew's two sons got involved in the pony races. So, yeah, six generations of harness racing. So, you know, brought into harness racing ever since I was a young kid. I remember going to the trots, and I remember Wavell, Bonadius was my favourite horse at Wavell with Bill Shin for the Brown brothers, you know.
Before we get to that, I'm presuming that you went to school?
I did, yeah.
So where were you born? You're South Australian born and bred?
I was born at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Woodville.
Mm-hmm. Which is still there?
Yeah, still there.
Stood the test of time, both of you?
Yeah. I don't really remember when I was first born where we were living, but I know that I grew up in Salisbury North, and I was in Salisbury North, International Avenue, Salisbury North for when I was a little kid in
So you went to school there?
Yeah, went to Salisbury North West Junior Primary School. Then went to Salisbury North High. Eventually they called it. It's now called Paralawi R12, the high school that I went to. And didn't go above that. Got to the end of fourth year, didn't go to university.
Well, nobody wanted to after. In our day, nobody wanted to go after that. We were lucky to get to that.
Yeah, so I did my schooling in Salisbury North. Did a lot of sport there at Salisbury North. Played with the Hawks, Salisbury North Football Club, from under 9s up to under 17s.
Are you a follower?
I used to follow the footy.
No, Did you follow the blokes that had the ball, or were you the follower, as in ruck rover, James?
No, I was a ruck rover actually. Yeah,
see?
Did a bit of ruck rover.
You had that physique for that.
Yeah, and I always remember in the under 10s, and Mum and myself and my sister, Dad wasn't there. We walked, and it was probably about a 5 kilometre walk from home to the Salisbury North football clubs. And Gary Window, who had won the McGarry medal that year, he was doing the presenting of the trophies, and I got a trophy as the best team man in the under 10s. And I was reading the plaque on the trophy, and the under 10s, the way it was inscribed was a little bit. It actually looked like who, and I thought, what does that mean, who?
Under 10.
It was under 10, yeah, and I remember that part, yeah. So
did you play with any Central Districts legends when you're out at Salisbury?
I did get a spot on the association.
You didn't play with Rick Vidovich and all of them?
No.
Sonny Morey?
No, I reckon probably a Centrals player, Jamie Thomas, was underneath. He was like a year or two lower than me.
He was hard man, wasn't he?
Yeah. Renee Van Dommel was one of our captains at Salisbury North as a young player. He was pretty talented as well.
So in that stage then, was it? Did your family? So your father was Harold.
Harold, yeah.
So Harold was a bike rider, wasn't he?
He was.
So he would have been the same era as people like and a lot of harness racing people like Johnny Dennis and that from Port Pirie all rode bikes. And Keith Bennett was a great bike rider. He's now up in Benura Point in Queensland. So your father, if he was alive, would be around about that same age. I think Keith's about 20.
So Keith a little bit older than Dad.
Is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dad would be about 85 now. If he was 83, 84, around that. But he died when he was 51, you know. So he died very young. But he was actually instrumental in me getting involved with calling cycling. I tried to get a job calling the trots. I went and I called the pony races for probably 10 or 12 years. And
So did you do the trials at Days Road or anything like that? Or what
did
did
the
you
trials at Globe Derby for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, and couldn't get a job commentating on the radio. Tried to get a job and always rejected. Couldn't get in.
But then I can remember with John Malachy and a few of those blokes up in Port Pirie with the athletics
Bronte
carnival.
McLaughlin and John Malachy. Yeah, with Frank McHugh, who was
Frank
on
McHugh
the athletics
on
side
the
of things.
athletics, and you came up there and called the cycling there, didn't you?
Yeah, they had a great carnival at Port Pirie on Memorial Oval.
Yep.
And amazing that Memorial Oval is where they used to have the trots.
Yeah, exactly.
In the 1930s, you know, and I think it was one of the first places. I remember reading some history in Botra that it was one of the first places where they had electric light racing.
Yes, they did.
And I think it was in 1939, rings a bell, at Memorial Oval, which is the oval that you drive past to get to Phoenix Park now, virtually.
It's all been done
it's
up
a
now.
new sports venue.
Complex, yeah.
But yeah, that's where the trots used to be. And I went there, it was always the last weekend of November. And this was back in I reckon the first year I called was 1989 or 1990, I can't remember. I started commentating cycling in 1989 because Mike Turner approached me to be commentator for cycling. Well, I tell a lie, actually. It was Terry Cotton that approached me on behalf of Mike Turner to try and find a commentator for cycling. And Terry used to call the Bay Sheffield Athletics. And anyway, I took up the position and he approached my cousin Wayne Jacques, and then Wayne said, no, I can't do it because they have trots every Friday because there was cycling every Friday night. So Wayne said, look, they need a commentator. You want to commentate the cycling? So I went through that avenue there. And that's where, when we got to Port Pirie, Terry Cotton was commentating the athletics races and I was calling the cycling races at Port Pirie. It was a great carnival.
So I can remember they had, was it Sid Patterson?
Sid Patterson was there before my time.
Yeah.
But Charlie Walsh used to take all of the Australian Institute of Sport cyclists.
And all them.
Oh, there was world champion Steve McGleed, who was a world champion in his time, and Commonwealth Games medalist. There was Brett Aiken, Stuart O'Grady, you know, those sorts of guys. I think the sprinters went there as well. I think Gary Nee won, but I can't remember. But Charlie had all the Australian Institute of Sport, because they were based here in Adelaide, were taken down there. And the thing I couldn't work out was that I used to do a lot of research on the cyclists because I was always, the guys that used to call before I called said, oh, you got to learn about the riders and their history and all that. So I did as much research as I could. And the thing I couldn't work out is that the foot races, the athletics, Terry Cotton would go through the CV, the performances of these. This guy represented Australia at the Commonwealth Games. And that was their highest level athlete. And I'm not trying to put anything wrong with the athletes, the running athletes. And they were racing the gift for, say, $1,500. And then I'd introduce the cyclists. World champion, Commonwealth Games champion, 3 times Commonwealth Games champion, all this. And they were racing for like $800 or something in their major race. And I thought, these guys are superstars.
Bit of inequality.
But anyway, yeah, exactly. But that was something that just stuck in my mind. But yeah.
So how many years did you do that? Because it's basically, they did have one, the last one, that you did the last one, didn't you? Would that have been?
I can't remember when the last Port Pirie one was.
It's got to be.
They introduced.
Would it be 10 years ago?
Oh, more than that. Yeah.
And how hard was that bitumen track that they were on when they went over? My God, it wasn't like a timber velodrome.
Yeah, we had a really bad prank there one year, which didn't help the carnival. Daniel Graham who I believe is a fireman now, there was a bit of push and shove in the field, and he had to swing wide. And when he swung wide, his pedal clipped the outside fence, and unfortunately, the promotion signs on the fence were metal, and his pedal had knocked it out, and it come up and cut his face. So now they've gone to core flute signs, obviously, to reduce that. But that was a major issue at the time. Had they had the signs on the outside of the gale-proof fence, it might have been okay. But yeah, that was. I can't remember the last year they did the carnival, but it did start to fade away.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was fantastic. And the first year that I went, because it was open all day, it went like from 12 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock to about 10:30 at night, you know. And within that time, I remember going to John and Janet Malachy's place the next day with Bronte McLaughlin, and they were just working out, just reviewing what happened. He said, look, we've had nearly 10,000 people go through the gates through the whole day, you know. So there were some people that left and come back, you know what I mean?
So with the Port Pirie Athletics and Cycling Carnival, did that help you become a better race caller? Did that help you hone your skills as far as, pardon me, calling the trots? Because they go a bit quicker than a...
There's a lot of similarity in harness racing to cycling commentary. It's all about riders getting in the slipstream and getting easy runs. Same as the trots, where you go 3 wide, get a card up. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, there was a lot of people in harness racing that were involved in cycling.
And very good. Of the ones that I know, your Keith Bennett's and your John Dennis's and a lot of the others, they become a very good judge of pace.
Yeah.
You know, like they know exactly when they're riding their bike what they needed to do, and when they got their horse, they know exactly what speed they needed to go.
Yeah.
And they always had great pairs of hands and a great judge of pace. You know.
Yeah. I'm just trying to reflect on the era that you speak about. Keith Bennett, Frank Thomas was also a cyclist as well. Jack Barracliff was a cyclist. My Uncle Bob Jacques, my dad Harold, and their brother Wally. You know, Wally still has the track record at Glen Eagles cycling track, because he broke the track record and then they closed it down, so no one could beat
That's
that.
the way to do it.
But there was and even in the modern days, as you said, John Dennis, Keith Gibbons, he was a cyclist as well. You know, Ben Cochelle was a younger harness person. He was a cyclist, a very good cyclist as well, but then went to harness racing. Yeah, so he was very talented. There's a lot of names there in harness racing that were cyclists as well. Yeah.
So getting off, I just got off track a little bit. So you went to school. What did you do from school to? So you've now been a full-time race caller for how many years now, Jimmy?
I think it was 1997 that I got a job on radio.
2007, 2017.
So it's 25
years. Right.
Yeah, I think radio 25.
So you would have started a lot older than some of these, like your Lachlan Stace he's been calling since he's 17 or 18.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you took it up when you were basically 35, didn't you? Or got that full-time gig.
Yeah.
So between when you left school,
all right,
what did you do? Because you got to live, don't you?
Yeah, I left school and I got involved. I used to, when I left school, when I got sick at school, I left school and I'd go to my uncle's place, Uncle Bob's, and just help him.
So did your dad have horses then?
No, not at that stage. He drove younger, but he was more into. He was a person that would come out and quote you to build a carport or a garage.
Okay,
and stuff.
so he was.
Yeah, and he had a few jobs as well. Like he was a truck driver at some stage in his life as well, you know.
So you went out. You went out and helped.
So I went out and helped Bob for a little bit, and then I thought, well, I got to get a job. And I ended up, I got a job in the clothing trade. I worked for KJ Jarvis and Company. They had a factory located near Arndale Shopping Centre, just across the road from there. There's a heap of industrial area there, and I worked there for 4.5 years. And
what did you do there? Sales or?
No. Basically, I started off purely and simply as a packer. So what would happen, they'd sew all the jeans. So what would happen, you'd get big bales of denim that would come over to our workshop. It was for a Victorian company, but it was cheaper for them to get it made in South Australia than in Victoria. So you get huge bales of fabric. And basically they'd lay it out, put the patterns on, cut out the designs. Those designs would then go in the factory. The women would sew it together to make a pair of jeans.
So a bit like going on from that, like the Levi factory they had out at
Exactly. Same
sort
of thing, just
brand.
a different brand. Yeah, yeah. I think
And then you'd pack it all in the boxes.
I'd take it in the boxes, strap the boxes up, load it up on the truck and away. That's where I started. Then I got on to...
That's 4.5 years.
Then I got on to cutting. I used to cut out the patterns, and then I was sort of like assistant floor manager in the end, you know, to keep the things rolling. So I did that. I got that job through Greg Jarvis. He had horses with my Uncle Bob. As an owner, and basically, I think Bobby said, "I'll give you a job, will you?" So he gave me a job.
Need him off the problem.
So I did that. I left there. Things got tough. They had to make redundancies, and I put my hand up to go because
Did you make overalls for Uncle Bob?
Sorry?
Did you make overalls for Uncle Bob out of the leftover material?
No, I didn't. No,
Okay.
no, I didn't do foreignies. I didn't do shonky stuff.
No, not shonky. The word's creative, Jimmy.
Oh, creative, yeah.
Creative work, all right? No wastage, all right?
And then I had a stint where I did nothing. I was unemployed for a while, and then I ran out.
When you're unemployed, how old were you then? Late 20s?
I can't remember. I think so.
So what do you do when you're unemployed in Adelaide? Nothing. Cruise.
Yeah, no, I used to drink a lot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go out and get pissed everywhere.
Is that on your CV, Jimmy, or what?
Yeah, it is.
And were you good at that?
Yeah, I used to drink a lot. I was good at drinking.
You're drinking, okay. So,
now I'm hopeless at it now.
okay, so you didn't make a career at it. You
No.
thought, I need a caer path change.
And then after about 6 months off, I thought, oh, shivers, I'm running out of money here. So
6 months off drinking.
off of work. So I went to the dole and they said, oh, no, you haven't applied to go. So I had to wait a certain amount of time to get some money. Yeah.
He said, I can't live
So
off
then
of
I got to
this.
get another job.
No money for food.
And look, I can't remember what I did from there. I think I worked in an air conditioning place where I was helping put them together.
This is like our sponsor.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Head of Fusion Agency.
And I did a little stint in Australia Post, but that was only Christmas sorting. You know, I was just doing all.
You didn't really do anything, Jim.
No, not really. No.
So were you married at the time?
No.
Okay,
That
so you're
came
still
later.
single.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can't imagine Priscilla putting up with that sort of stuff. She'd be going.
No,
Get a job,
I
Jimmy.
was employed when I met Priscilla. I got a job. With ETSA, the Electricity Trust of South Australia, and I got a job at Torrens Island Power Station. So I was a trades assistant at Torrens Island Power Station. Now, a trades assistant, you can train a monkey to be a trades assistant. Actually, I tell a lie. I did a job before that with some mob where we were digging out trenches to lay the pipes for new establishments.
Oh,
like
sewer and stormwater.
Yeah. That was with Trapeze
So when you worked out at Torrens Island, so you were a trades assistant, were you working with any of those monkeys? Or?
I was the monkey.
Oh, you're the monkey.
I was the monkey.
So did you go crabbing in your lunchtime and all that out there?
We used to go out and catch fish. Brim was.
See?
You could go. You
can't make a pair of overalls for Uncle Bob, but you can go crabbing and fishing at work. No, that's okay. No, just put that in the memory box for
So I worked there for over 10 years at Torrens Island Power Station.
You would have been up the top by then.
I actually...
Transformer.
I did fairly well because I started off as a trades assistant, and the thing I couldn't understand working at Torrens Island Power Station for the government, and I put on like 3 or 4 kilo within the first 2 weeks because I was at a hard job digging trenches with like a pick and a shovel, you know, and working hard. And I used to eat a lot, and I always do eat a lot, right? Mm. And then when I went to Torrens Island Power Station, we just did nothing.
But you still ate.
But I was still eating. And I'm scratching, and we'd do nothing through the week, and then they'd ask you to work the weekend. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it took a while for me to realise how it works. Obviously they need the machines through the week to generate the electricity, right? And then come weekend, that's when they do the maintenance. See?
Oh, okay.
So even though we did nothing through the week, you had to find a spot to hide and sleep and all that sort of stuff.
Good at that?
Yeah, it was good because back those days the casino was open. That was open till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'd go to the casino every night and then go home, get 2 hours sleep, and then go to work. So I'd catch up on my sleep. at work, yeah, because I knew I didn't have to do any work. Anyway, that might
So
sound...
I don't think there's any positions that'll be yours at the power station from here on in after that run.
That's what everyone did. That's what everyone did.
You just had to do you did what you was told.
Yeah, you just had to wait for the job to come up.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So after you left the power station,
All right, so from the power station, I went from a trades assistant to a safety equipment attendant, and then I got the job as a scheduler coordinator for different work groups to work out their work jobs that they had
this
to
is
do.
still within that group.
That's still at Torrens Island Power Station. So I had a couple of promotions up to that stage, and they were offering packages for trades assistants, but because I was listed still under the trades assistant umbrella, basically I could get a package, but at the higher rate that I was on as a
Package
scheduler
to do what?
to leave.
Oh, right.
Redundancy package.
I thought you're an important part of the organisation, James.
So I took the package, and that way we paid the house
See,
off.
that's a bit of a shock.
Had enough money to buy a little car, and then all I had to do was find another job, and that's where I thought
Then
I
you
could
thought,
get-
I'll be a race caller.
I'll be a race caller, but I couldn't get that job either. So I was, for 18 months, I was trying to get a job as a race commentator.
You were married at that stage.
No, I was with Priscilla. We didn't get married till after.
Okay,
We
so
did
you
it
did-
back to front.
so you
We
did-
had our children first.
So what I'm getting at is you didn't go back to drinking every day and stuff like that, because that's what you
A
did.
few drinks, but not as much.
okay.
No.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a short break. We've spoken to Jimmy about his life leading up to becoming basically full-time harness racing race caller. So next time you see me, we'll be in depth with Jimmy Jacques and his life in the harness racing world.